Welcome to Everyday Tarot, your deep dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, your hallowed high priestess, tarot reader, and professional witch, and today I'm talking about tarot for Taurus season. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every Monday morning to check out the latest episode. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. If you want to access the most up-to-date info on upcoming events, presentations, musings, and info and photos of my day-to-day life, my newsletter is a one-stop shop. The link to join that will be in the show notes. If you're interested or know someone that might be a good fit to be a guest on the podcast, you can fill out my form below, also linked in the show notes. And if you'd like to get a 30-minute 5-card tarot reading from me, you can go to the link, which will be on mycal.com, to book a reading now. You can find links for any of these offers in the show notes or on Patreon, in addition to the images of the cards I pull for each episode. All right, well, today I'm discussing tarot for Taurus season. So let's get into Taurus. So the Taurus zodiac sign, Taurus is known as the maintainer. It is ruled by Venus, and the glyph or symbol for Taurus looks like a bull's head. So it usually has like a circle and then sort of like the little horns at the top. So Taurus season in 2026, we enter Taurus on April 19th and we go through May 20th. And I'll be reading a bit of information from Tarot and Astrology, this book by Corinne Kenner called Enhance Your Readings with the Wisdom of the Zodiac. That's what I reference for most of these Zodiac season and tarot episodes. It has a wealth of info on that. So Taurus is associated with the second house, and its rulership is about money, possessions, and values. Its ruling sign, again, is Taurus, the bull, which is associated with property, and its ruling planet is Venus, planet of love and attraction. So when we talk about tarot and the wheel of the year, its signs and planetary rulers, again, we have Taurus, and it is a fixed earth sign. Tauruses are often known as being stubborn, and that happens often for fixed signs. And then again, its planetary ruler is Venus. So let's get into the tarot cards. So for the major arcana cards associated with Taurus, we have the Hierophant associated with Taurus, and then the planetary association of Venus is associated with the Empress card. So let's read a bit more about those. So first I'll get into the Hierophant. So Taurus plays for keeps, especially when it comes to matters of spiritual value. That's what makes the sign a perfect match for the Hierophant card, the card of time-honored values and beliefs. Taurus is a sign of stability and convention, when the Hierophant is a traditionalist who values faithfulness, monogamy, and procreation. Both Taurus and the Hierophant are committed to structure and propriety, along with creature comforts and objects of beauty that represent spiritual treasures. In ancient Greece, the Hierophants were priests who guided their followers through the sacred rites of the Eleusinian Mysteries, a mythic scenario of death and rebirth, by enacting the story of Persephone. She was the maiden goddess who was kidnapped by Hades, the god of the underworld. Her disappearance plunged the world into a long winter of bitter cold and deprivation, but it was fertile ground for ruminations about life after death. Today, the role of the Hierophant lives on in every spiritual teacher and guide who leads followers through seasons of hope and experience. The word Hierophant shares the same word as hierarchy, which means an organization with varying levels of authority. A Hierophant is the final authority on matters of faith. They have the power to speak on behalf of God, to explain the teachings of divine wisdom, and to serve as the bridge between this world and the next. And as I talked about before, the glyph for Taurus looks like the head of a bull or the ring in a bull's nose. Most Hierophant cards feature Taurus glyphs carved into pillars of the church. So often you'll see them behind the figure, or heavenly, earthly animals like bulls or elephants. So that is often how they get depicted. Like bulls in a meadow, Taurus and the Hierophant are committed to creature comforts, as well as the comfort of and stability of long-standing ritual and practice. Both can be bull-headed, stubborn, immovable, and almost impossible to placate. Both can be bullish when it comes to the practice of their beliefs, but both can also be a rock of solidarity and comfort in difficult times. They are determined and loyal, dedicated, and enduring. In a sense, the Hierophant is a spiritual beast of burden. Taurus is the second sign. So if you listen to last season's Zodiac season, we talked about Aries. Aries is the beginning or the first house of the Zodiac, and Taurus is the second. And this is the house where astrologers look for information about money, possessions, as well as spiritual values they represent. And Taurus is in turn ruled by Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and attraction. In tarot, Venus is assigned to the Empress card, and she offers a physical form of nurturing that complements the Hierophant's spiritual training. The sun is usually in Taurus between about April 21st and May 21st. So this year we're slightly earlier. Taurus marks the second month of spring, at least in the northern hemisphere, and this makes it a fixed sign. When Taurus is in play, the season of spring is in full flower. Taurus is also an earth sign. In both astrology and tarot, the element of earth symbolizes the physical energy. Practical, reliable, patient, and persevering. It is seen as the divine feminine and receptive. It provides fertile soil for growth and development. Taurus rules the neck and the throat, which means that Taurus can be remarkably expressive through spoken language and song. Similarly, Hierophants have always relied on speeches, sermons, and hymns to lead and uplift their followers. So let's talk about Venus and the Empress card, Taurus's other association. So in the Empress card, Venus takes the human form, and one of the cosmos' most heavenly bodies finds an outlet for her creative nature. The Empress is an archetypal mother who constantly generates new life. Perpetually pregnant, she's a symbol of fertility and growth. Like Mother Nature, she's usually pictured in a lush garden setting. She sits comfortably on a cushioned throne in keeping with her craving for stability and comfort, and she wears a crown of 12 stars, one for every month of the year and every sign of the zodiac. Both Venus and the Empress share a love of beauty, and love and attraction are powerful forces for creation. In ancient Rome, Venus was the goddess of beauty, love, and attraction. In Greece, she was known as Aphrodite. The Empress, of course, is married. She's a loving partner to the Emperor. In an astrological chart, Venus graces everything she touches with ease, comfort, affection, and enjoyment. She is generous to a fault. Like Jupiter, she's a benefactor. Ancient astrologers called her the lesser benefic. That's usually a good thing, but not always, especially if she overindulges her children and they grow spoiled. Venus rules pleasure and enjoyment, as well as the love of beauty and the arts. She is sensual and romantic, gracious and kind, gentle and sympathetic. In keeping with her role as the morning and evening star, Venus rules two signs, both Taurus and Libra. She also rules the corresponding second house of treasures, possessions, as well as the seventh house of marriage, partnerships, and personal relationships. As a ruler of Taurus and the second house, Venus shows us what we love. As the ruler of Libra and the seventh house, she describes how we share that love with others. Her involvement leads to strong attachments, both to property and people. Venus rules the throat, which puts her firmly in control of sweet talk and love songs. As a planet of pleasure and consumption, Venus is also associated with blood sugar levels and venereal disease. The Empress card corresponds to the element of earth. All right, so those are the major arcana card associations with Taurus, and then with its planetary correspondence of Venus for the Empress card. Let's get into the court card associations. So If you remember from our last Zodiac season episode, each of the major or court card associations has an overlapping card with the prior season, so the end of Aries season had the King of Pentacles. So we also start Taurus season with the King of Pentacles association. And then we move into the Knight of Swords as it goes on. And then, of course, after Taurus, we go into Gemini. So you see this sort of like elemental shift. Again, Aries, we had wands and it moves into pentacles. We move from fire into earth energy. In Taurus, we start with pentacles, the King of Pentacles. We move from earth into swords or air energy. And in Gemini, we will start with the Knight of Swords, starting in that air energy and then moving into water will be next for cups. So that is just sort of like how that plays out. But yeah, let's talk about the King of Pentacles. I haven't always done this in the prior episodes, but actually like every single card in tarot has an association with sort of with the wheel of the year. So like for every 10 days of the year, there is a tarot card associated with it. And so, again, for Taurus, we have the King of Pentacles for April 21st-ish through May 10th. And then we move into the Knight of Swords. And then I'll, after this, talk about the minor arcana card associations as well. So yeah, let's talk about the King of Pentacles. Where did I flag that one? Venus. Okay, I saw it. All right, so, oh wait, this is about, one moment. Okay, so Taurus is associated with the King of Pentacles, then later with the Knight of Swords. So I just want to talk a little bit about Taurus and the King of Pentacles. So like all kings in the tarot decks, the King of Pentacles is a seasoned, experienced person. They successfully completed the mission they undertook as the former Knight of Pentacles. So the tarot has, especially the court cards, have like a story of progression along with them. So as the Knight of Pentacles, he was then rewarded with the keys to the kingdom, and he now rules the entire realm, as well as its armies, which defend and conquer in the name of the throne. Elementally, all four kings of the tarot are known as airy intellectuals, so associated with the air sign, and they simply combine the element of air with the corresponding element of their own suit. So for the King of Pentacles, we would have the heady combination of air and earth. So the King of Pentacles also represents the fixed earth sign of Taurus, which makes him steady and reliable monarch. He's stable, grounded, determined, and dependable, practical, and realistic. He's honest and hardworking. Again, we kind of have the like in the material realm, like what do you create? What do you do? He can be stubborn and slow moving. Again, think the bull. But he's also patient and persevering. He's a man of substance, value, and worth. Like his major arcana counterpart, the Hierophant, he values tradition and his surroundings reflect his spiritual beliefs. So the King of Pentacles manages the affairs of his kingdom with mathematical, business-like precision. He has a flair for ingenious, practical solutions to complicated problems. It usually takes him a long time to get angry, but once he is roused, he can be fierce. He might be earthy and unrefined, but he's also loyal and honorable. His feet are firmly on the ground, and his body, mind, and soul are devoted to the cause. All right, and then, so we also talk about the Knight of Swords as being associated with Taurus, but I'll save that one for when we talk about Gemini season. And then let's get into the minor arcana cards. So again, through the wheel of the year, we have a card associated with every 9 or 10 days. So for Taurus, we have both the 5, 6, and 7 of Pentacles. And actually in here they have, I'm going to talk about the combined association that they have. So the 3 deacons of Taurus, again, this is fixed earth, 5, 6, and 7 of Pentacles. So we continue our tour of the minor arcana with these 3 cards that correspond to the 3 deacons of Taurus, the 5, 6, and 7 of Pentacles. Because Taurus is an earth sign, the cards come from the earthy suit of Pentacles, and since it's a fixed sign, well established, firmly set in place, the cards come from the middle of the suit. So that's kind of how like the associations work. It says, as we study the cards and the characters in the cards, remember that they'll all share the same attributes of the sign. So I'm going to talk sort of like generally about the 3 cards through this, instead of talking about each one individually. So with the sign, we have Taurus, again, the second sign of the zodiac, the sign of possessions, wealth, and spiritual treasures. If you look at all 3 cards that are in Taurus, they depict people dealing with issues that relate to money and values. So if we look at the mode or quality, so Taurus is a fixed sign stationed securely in the middle month of spring, right in May essentially, or late April, early May. The corresponding cards from the middle of the suit embody a stable, persistent energy. So we have, again, kind of that like middling energy. With the element, Taurus is an earth sign, so it corresponds with the suit of Pentacles, right? The earth of the tarot cards. Both the element and the suit are solid, reliable, responsible, practical, physical, and enduring. The duality, so earth signs are seen as feminine. They are receptive, reactive, magnetic, responsive, and patient, and their energy flows in a circular pattern. And just a reminder that when I talk about feminine and masculine in tarot world, this just means we have all these parts in all of us. So this is sort of talking about the sort of feminine parts of ourselves, the receptive parts of selves, the energetic part, the patient part. The energy flows in the circular pattern. And then the corresponding major cards, which we talked about earlier. So we have the Hierophant, corresponds to the sign of Taurus, and we have the Empress that corresponds to Taurus's ruling planet of Venus. So that's kind of how the 5, 6, and 7 of Pentacles get associated with Taurus. And perhaps on a further episode, I will talk about one of those specifically when it comes to it. I don't want to make these episodes like too long, but I could talk about every single card, which would be, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different cards that get associated with each zodiac sign. So there are a lot of them. And again, like take a look at your own decks, look at the Hierophant and the Empress, look at the King of Pentacles, the Knight of Swords, and then the 5, 6, and 7 of Pentacles to see what you see. Do you see any of those signs of the bull or like the glyph that we see with Taurus? Again, the circle with kind of like a U on top, or like an open C on top. Often you will see that. You'll see them in the Pentacles cards, or you'll see, again, they talked about elephants and another animal that get associated with kind of the very like grounded energy of Taurus. All right, let's go ahead and pull a card to see if there's anything else we need to know on this matter, anything else Taurus season has to share with us as we enter it, as you're listening to it. If you listen to it when this episode's come out, we'll have just entered Taurus yesterday. Okay, well, I pulled the 6 of Pentacles in reverse, which is fascinating because that was one of the cards associated with Taurus. So the 6 of Pentacles, I'll put it up on the screen here, but it sort of has this very like receptive, sending things back and forth energy. I did pull it in reverse, so perhaps we're struggling. Wow, I just flipped to the page too. With that, so reversed, it says a role as a giver or taker is too imbalanced. The danger is in giving so much that you're prone to being taken advantage of, or in taking more than your share, getting into debt, or becoming a burden. In a relationship, this could mean one partner is doing a lopsided amount of work. So Taurus season wants to share with us that right? It's good to be both giver and taker, but something about that you're doing is imbalanced, right? And Taurus season is all about, again, kind of like the material goods, like could be wealth, could be like what you're not feeling valued, or maybe you're giving a lot of your value to other people and not sort of centering your own values in yourself. Taurus season is a great time to get outside, play in the dirt, if your weather allows it. Get very grounded in yourself and your own needs. Of course, it's lovely when we can share that with other people, right? The flowers of the sort of springy time of year often love to share their beauty with us. And like in order to, right, create beautiful things or give unto others, we have to also give to ourselves and not necessarily wait for other people to do so. Because sometimes if we wait, we never receive, or it doesn't ever feel like enough when we rely on other people for that. So yeah, this is telling us, right, that something about the giver receiving role does not feel equal like it looks in the upright of this card. And there's a glare on it, so I'll put it on the screen as an image. But right, ideally, we feel both like we're getting a lot and giving a lot when it comes to this kind of card. So that's your message for Taurus season. Check in on yourself, making sure you're taking care of yourself first sometimes. It's okay to do that. It's even more than okay. You should do it. You may have been told that's selfish. And just like they say on the airplane, like, got to put on your own oxygen mask before you can help anyone else. Otherwise, it's not really going to do either of you very much good. So, all right. Well, you can always look for our weekly episodes published Monday mornings. Guest episodes will be coming out about once a month. Every episode is filmed on video, so you can check those out on Spotify and YouTube for sure. I'm going to be working on getting video up on Apple Podcasts. And then, of course, you can always listen to the audio wherever you get your podcasts. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the podcast, I would love to have you. So please fill out my form to be a guest, and I will reach out. Links for the decks I talk about will always be in the show notes and on Patreon if you want to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. You can tune in every Monday morning to check out the latest episode. You can email me me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. You can book a 30-minute tarot reading with me where I do a 5-card special tarot spread that I created as myself as a hallowed high priestess. So you can book that now, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.